So quickly as I turned my head, I fell into despair, for when I turned it back again, I found you were not there. So silently you did depart before my eyes could see. In shock I feared you disappeared, and cannot now save me. Now mourning loss and double cross, perceive as it would seem that all I had is gone and bad, I'm left to wish a dream. In truth I know as I should grow that troubles come and pass, but cold I stand in sinking sand and beg that I may ask. If life contains just your remains, then I can't pay the cost. Please now to take my heart that break, for I can't bear your loss. There's a reason why I put that as the first poem in this book on transformation. It's a book of stories, a book of the story of my life, and actually of your life, in fact, everybody's life. Whether we hold a spiritual perspective on life or not, we go through processes of experience. Some people think we go through lessons. I think we get the test sometimes before the lesson. In any event, I would say the most difficult aspect of being a human, of being alive, is the emotional experience of loss and the grief that we can plummet into when we experience it. There's an automatic need almost that we don't want to have this emotion. Of course we don't. We want to be happy. We want to enjoy life. We want to laugh and have fun. But any of you that are embarking on any form of psychological development, looking for meaning in life, people that are going through spiritual experiences, whether you've triggered them or not, or really into the mystical realm, you are going to have the experience of grief. Now, how do we deal with it? Well, we all deal with it differently, actually, and a lot of that depends on our prior experiences of life. If we've had a life that has been full of losses, then sometimes the smallest loss midlife can be a trigger that sends us into chaos, a catastrophe. We can easily lose our heart, that can break, that's the first thing. But for some people, the rupture is so deep, it goes through our mind and splits our mind. For other people, they can feel that the loss is a celebration of a life, and for others, they can't get themselves there at all. So in truth, the way we deal with it is going to be different. If you've had a life where you've lived with somebody that you've loved for a very long time and you lose them, then of course you're going to lose the part of your mind that was attached to them. If it's any consolation at all, then in long-term relationships, somebody always has to go first. And it can be of some comfort, perhaps, that we helped them so that they didn't have to live a life in pain, dealing with our loss. I always think it's difficult for the people that are left behind. Whatever we're attached to, whatever we love, whether it is a person or often it's an animal, because that's the closest really we can get to unconditional love. We make it too conditional on earth. We have expectations and needs. If I love you, then I expect you to love me. But that's not how love works. Love actually exists in between. It's outside of language. It's a communication that is ancient, and it's often a spiritual communication. The love we have with an animal is a spiritual love. The love we have with somebody we think is a soulmate is a spiritual love. But what you've noticed, I think, is that whether we hold spiritual perspectives or not, then sooner or later we have to let go of that thing we love. Now, how do we behave? Some people behave really well, others behave in a lot of pain. When we're in pain, we are angry, and we want to either project that out because we can't handle it, or we internalize it into depression. In the East, they have the concept of broken heart syndrome, but here in the West, where I'm recording this, we don't. So the moment you go anywhere near depression and grief, there's a temptation to medicate it. My belief is that we should educate it. You see, there's a temptation not to want to experience grief in its full and raw form, but we have to, because enlightenment really begins in endarkenment. And so, whilst it's not our choice, if you notice all the people that are well read in the world, all the people that are showing us wisdom, they all go through this process of darkness. And so this little book, this little storybook that I'm telling you about, is about that process. It's a guide actually of how to get you through it. Some people have so much pain that their mind splits. If that's the case, then look below this video, because I've got some links for you, some things that you can do to process and help you through that. For others, you can meditate it, and I hope be surrounded by people who love you. But that's not always the case for many people. However, we have to ask ourselves, why as humans are we having this experience anyway? Well, because really, when we are broken open is the only time that heaven gets to see what we're really made of. And that is the journey of a soul.